Good afternoon and welcome to Across the Goal Line, a sports podcast brought to you by diehard fans. I'm Luke Goddessart. Corey Maines was unable to join us today. He'll be back next week. He had some stuff going on, so Corey Maines will be back next week. Today on Across the Goal Line, Wednesday, March 8th, 2017, we're going to be talking some NASCAR. NASCAR is down at Atlanta Motor Speedway this past weekend. Which was won by Brad Keselowski, picked up his first win there at Atlanta. They go to Las Vegas this weekend, March 12th, this Sunday. You got the Xfinity race on Saturday, and then the Monster Energy Cup Series now race on Sunday. So it should be very exciting. The only race in Las Vegas this year is the only race at Atlanta this past weekend. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk a little bit about the NHL Trade Deadline that occurred last week. A couple people got traded. I only have a couple trades to talk about. I was gonna see if Corey had any more than what I had, but as I said, he's unable to join us today. So I'm doing the whole show by myself. Plus, we'll have wrestling after this, and then we'll review Fastlane in that episode. In that video, and then at the end of the show, we'll talk a little bit about the NFL Combine that was this past weekend in Indianapolis, the 30th annual NFL Scouting Combine. So, but before we do, be sure to like us on Facebook, like Across the Goal Line on Facebook. Follow at ATGL16 on Twitter. You can also follow at ATGL16 on Instagram. Please share this video. Please share all our videos. Retweet our videos. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube. You can email us at acrossthegoalline2016 at gmail.com if you have any questions or concerns. You can follow me on Twitter at CoolhandLuke96. You can follow Corey on Twitter at CAMains14. As I said, he's unable to join us today. He has some things going on, so I'm doing the whole show by myself. Question of the day today. We got a Patriot League championship game for basketball tonight. Lehigh goes to Bucknell. It should be a very exciting game. It's at 7:30 on CBS Sports Network. I'll be sure to be tuning into that. And then Survivor starts at 8. So I'm a diehard Survivor fan. I'll be tuned into that as well. That's on from 8 to 10. And then Designated Survivor, one of my new favorite shows, that's on at 10 o'clock on ABC. So I'll be watching that as well. And then you also have the ACC basketball tournament, men's tournament going on this week alongside the Big 10, the Big 12. Basically all the basketball tournaments leading up into the NCAA tournament and March Madness is occurring this week, and you'll be able to watch those on TV on all the networks, it seems like nowadays. So be sure to tune into those if you have the chance. Should be some great games leading into March Madness, and then everybody knows what March Madness is like. It's madness. That's why they call it March Madness. So as I said, Corey's unable to join us today. Question of the day, Lehigh goes to Bucknell. I'm taking Bucknell just because they're a little closer than Lehigh to me, to us here in Clearfield, Pennsylvania. So without further ado, and before I forget, I want to wish Dirk Nowitzki, I want to congratulate Dirk Nowitzki for scoring 30,000 points last night against the Los Angeles Lakers. Funny stat I saw this morning as well. He scored his 20,000th point against the Los Angeles Lakers, and he scored a 30,000th point last night against the Los Angeles Lakers, as I just said. He made the shot against whoever was wearing number 7 both times for the Lakers while wearing a white home jersey. So he did both of them at home there in Dallas. He's the face of the Mavericks, always has been since he came into the league in the late 90s, and he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer if you ask me, but some people might say otherwise. So let's get started. As I said, we got some NASCAR, and then some NHL Trade Deadline stuff that happened last week, and then the NFL Combine, and then also the NFL New Year starts tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, you got free agency. Some players have already signed. Most of the players are going to start signing tomorrow if they have not talked to teams already. So free agency starting. We'll get more into that next week. I will talk a little bit about some of it today, but I really don't want to get into it because I don't want to say something, I may regret saying this guy's going to go to this team or, so on and so forth. So we might have a visitor here in a little bit. Our cat might be joining me. I don't know. but we'll have to see. So let's get started. NASCAR, as I said, they're down in Hampton, Georgia this past weekend at Atlanta Motor Speedway. The race was won by Brad Keselowski, and picked up his first one in Atlanta in his 8 tries, I believe it was. He was having trouble most of the race. He had a couple penalties, some pit issues. His car just wasn't running great, and then he was pretty much in the right place at the right time come the end of the race because of Kevin Harvick having a pit road speeding penalty with about 10 laps to go, I think it was. And Harvick, he dominated again. He's dominated at Atlanta the past 5 years, but he has not been able to pick up a victory. But he still got points. He won segments 1 and 2. The pit road speeding penalty was on lap 311, so about 15 laps to go. He, as I said, he dominated, but with that penalty, it really screwed him. He's been having trouble, but as I say, he won segments 1 and 2, so he still got points. The drivers actually like this new segments. Thank you for joining Tyler Stratton. Be sure to share this video, like it, share it with all your friends, whatnot, whatever you have to do. But Harvick, I think he's on the right track. He's a great driver. He's just had trouble at Atlanta. He's dominated other tracks as well and picked up the victories, just not in Atlanta. He's dominated but couldn't win. So it allowed Keselowski to pick up that victory, his first in Atlanta, as I said. Casey Kane, who I picked, he was running in the middle of the pack all day long. He actually finished 4th because with that pit road speeding penalty that Harvick had, he had to go to the end of the field, and that allowed other drivers to move on up and then be able to race towards the end of the race. So actually race towards the end of the race, if that makes any sense to any of our listeners. I think any NASCAR fan would understand what I'm trying to say. And that's the reason why I really don't like the new segments either, because they're just not allowing them to race. They're coming out with a caution, a penalty, a caution, a third and 2/3 of the way through the race, and it's just not allowing them. It's just not how it used to be. It's not the same. And me being a historical kind of guy, I like it how it was, how it used to be, and don't really like change a whole lot much, but it's just how I am. So as I said, Keselowski won, and because with Harvick dominating, it really wasn't that much of an exciting race. He led for 292 of the 325 laps. And as I said, he should be happy because he got 10 points for each segment win, segments 1 and 2. So he got 20 points that are going to carry on, throughout the whole season. And that's why the drivers really like this new stage segment rather than how it used to be, because they're always complaining about not having enough points and then not getting into the chase at the end of the year come September, leading into Homestead Miami at the end of the year to crown a NASCAR champion. So the drivers like it, but it seems like a lot of the fans don't, because they like it how it was. They like it how it used to be, just like I do. And will they change it? Probably not. They're going to test it out all year probably, and then they'll make a decision on that come the end of the year, I'd assume. Because they just need to let him race, but, it is what it is. Go from Atlanta out west to Las Vegas. NASCAR goes west for the next 3 weeks. We got Las Vegas this weekend. Then they go to Phoenix, and then they go to Auto Club out in California. So hopefully it's a fun-filled race there out in Sin City on the Strip. It's at the track's actually about 15 miles northeast of Las Vegas. If you watch Pawn Stars, sometimes they go to the track if they're buying a car to what's the right word I want to use? To test out the vehicles to see if they want to purchase them. So if you haven't actually watched a race from Vegas before, maybe you've seen it on TV, otherwise on other shows like that. but they're going west this week out in Vegas. Brad Keselowski, who, as I said, he won last week. He actually won at Las Vegas last year and also in 2014. I think he'll be a heavy favorite there in the betting state, in the backyard of gambling in Nevada and Vegas. But the person who I think is going to win the Cobalt 400, which is this Sunday on Fox at 3 p.m., is someone who also almost won last week and in 2015 at Las Vegas. But the reason why he didn't win in Atlanta, as I said already last week, it was because of that pit road speeding penalty. And that person is Kevin Harvick, who drives the number 4 Jimmy John's Ford. For Stewart-Haas Racing. He did drive the number 4 Jimmy John's Chevy, but Stewart-Haas switched from Chevy to Ford this year. And if he does win, he'll be the second Stewart-Haas driver to win a race this year, already in the 3-race short season. Because if you remember, Kurt Busch won the Daytona 500. He also drives for Stewart-Haas Racing. So I'm going to go with Kevin Harvick. I think he's won here before. He's come close in the past couple races, also at the end of last year. So I'm going to go with Kevin Harvick. I don't know who Corey's going to pick because I was going to ask him today, but as I said, he's unable to join us. So I'm going to go with Kevin Harvick. So be sure to tune into Fox this Sunday for the Cobalt 400 out in Las Vegas. Before I move on, I'm going to take a nice big old swig of H2O water. And we're going to talk now about the NHL Trade Deadline that occurred. Thank you. I wish I was on TV. Please share this video. Maybe some of your friends will see it. It'll get to somebody, and who knows what's going to happen from there. But the NHL Trade Deadline was last week. I'm just going to go over a few minor trades. There was one big trade that I thought. As I said, Corey's unable to join us. He's more of a hockey guy than I am. I was going to see if he had any more than what I had, but as I said, he's unable to join us, so I'm going to go with what I had. The Penguins got Mark Street from Tampa Bay, who they got earlier in the day last Wednesday or last Thursday. And it was the middle of last week. They got him earlier in the day from the Philadelphia Flyers. So Street goes all in one day from Philadelphia to Tampa Bay to now Pittsburgh. So hopefully he's going to play as good as in Pittsburgh as what he did in Philly, and maybe the Pens can go back to back and win the Stanley Cup for the second straight year. The Winnipeg Jets got Drew Stafford from the Bruins, or they traded him to the Bruins, for a 6th-round pick. The Stars got Dylan Hetherington from the Columbus Blue Jackets for Lori Korpikoski. And then probably the biggest trade I thought was Jerome McGinley, Iggy. A lot of people will know him because he's been around for, it seems like, forever. He got dished from the Colorado Avalanche to the LA Kings. He's finally on a good team again, and who knows if he might be hoisting the Stanley Cup come the end of the year. He really deserves it. Would really like to see Iggy, win his first Stanley Cup and then go out a champion, retire right off into the sunset, just like Peyton Manning did last February in Super Bowl 50 with the Denver Broncos. But other than that, I didn't think there's any big trades at the NHL Trade Deadline. As I said, Corey's unable to join us. I said it, I don't know how many times now. He's more of a hockey guy than I am, so I was going to see if he had any more than what I did. But as I said, he's not here today. So, but don't forget, the NHL is adding another team at the start of next season, the 2016-17 or 2017-18 season. The Las Vegas Golden Knights, we're just talking about Vegas with NASCAR. They go out to Vegas this weekend. The Las Vegas Golden Knights, a new team, the 31st team in the NHL. Maybe this leads to, they're going to be playing at the T-Mobile Arena. Maybe this leads to a new basketball team in Vegas. Maybe a football team in Vegas. The Raiders have been trying to move from Oakland to Vegas, so we'll have to see about that. Maybe maybe a baseball team. They got a minor league team there, the Las Vegas 51ers, I believe their name is. I can't think off the top of my head what minor league affiliate they are too, but the Vegas Golden Knights, a lot of people aren't too thrilled about the name. I guess they don't like it. It's all right, I guess. I don't really have a problem with it. They really don't have anybody on their team, on their roster at the moment, other than front office management-wise people. But now, with the trade deadline over, leading into the playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs going to be starting next month already, along with the NBA playoffs. Hard to believe it's already the middle of March. You got April coming up, you got May, and then, both the Stanley Cup finals and the NBA finals will be going on come June. But from now until then, and then leading up until the season, the Las Vegas Golden Knights have the rights, have the opportunity to get a hold of college free agents coming out of college hockey and draft picks from other teams. They can try to trade, work some things out. I don't know really how that's going to work. I guess they'd really just trade draft picks back and forth because they don't have any players. But and they'll be able to draft players come the NHL draft at the end of June. So it's going to be exciting. So now they have the rights to get a hold of people, try to get the best players on their team so they can, maybe be the next big franchise in sports, just not in hockey. Because you look at Vegas brings in all that money. You're going to have a lot of season ticket holders, a lot of people, traveling, to go out there to Vegas to gamble. And I think if they have the right support from the right people, and they get the right players to play on their team, maybe Vegas in a few years, not after 1 year, in a few years of playing, they might be a force to be reckoned with in the West of the NHL and the NHL overall. So as I said, Corey's not here. He was unable to join us today. He had some stuff going on. I thought he would. I didn't talk to him about this yet. I thought he would add some more, but that's all we're going to talk about. The NHL Trade Deadline. The NFL Combine was also this past weekend out in Indianapolis at formerly known as the RCA Dome. They actually tore that down. It's now Lucas Oil Stadium. If you really don't like watching it, you can just stop the video. Watching the NFL Combine, and it is not me talking about sports. You can stop the video, because all the NFL Combine is players working out for scouts, for teams, for coaches, to go to put their mark on how they play, what they're good at, what they're not good at, from going to college to the NFL. And all I'm going to talk about the NFL Combine is really who performed well and who helped their draft stock, and some of the top picks at the moment. So we'll start off fast, just like John Ross ran his 40-yard dash. He broke the NFL Combine record, which was held by Chris Johnson back in 2008. He ran a 4.24, Chris Johnson. He currently still plays in the NFL. He plays for the Arizona Cardinals. And this is where I'll get into talk about some NFL free agency. He might not be playing for the Cardinals next year. He might sign somewhere else. We'll have to see about that. I really don't want to get into that because, some guys might sign here, sign there. I know today Brandon Marshall, after he was released by the New York Jets, he signed with the New York Giants, so he doesn't even have to move because they play in the same stadium. I'm sure their facilities aren't that far apart from each other. So good for Brandon Marshall. He's on his fourth NFL team now. Oh, actually, his fifth NFL team. He played for the Denver Broncos, the Miami Dolphins, the Chicago Bears, the Jets, and now the New York Giants. In his illustrious career, he's been in the league since 2006. And in his first year with a new team, he's had over 1,000 yards receiving. So that's good news for the New York Giants. If you're a Giants fan, you should like this addition of Brandon Marshall to go along with Eli Manning and the other side of Odell Beckham Jr. But as I said, John Ross, he broke the 40-yard dash record at the NFL Combine. He ran a 4.22 40-yard dash. That's unbelievable. 4.2 seconds he ran in 40 yards. Unbelievable. Kid is freaky fast. Maybe Jimmy John's will pick him up as a sponsor. That's what their motto is. That's what their saying is. It's freaky fast good. So we'll have to see about that. But John Ross, he was wearing Nike cleats. If he would have been wearing Adidas cleats, Adidas would have given him his own island, for God's sakes. Yes, his own island. But with him wearing Nikes and still beating the record, which was held by Chris Johnson back in 2008 of a 4.24, he doesn't get his own island. So I'm sure he's a little pissed off about that he didn't wear Adidas, but I'm sure he was in talks with Nike before the Combine. And me, preferably, I like Nikes over Adidas anyway. But who knows? If he would have been wearing Adidas, would he have ran that 4.22 40-yard dash? I don't know. Probably because, I don't really think the shoes have that much to do with it. He's just that fast. He played wide receiver up at Washington. He's actually from the Los Angeles area. He played on Snoop Dogg's Pee Wee football team growing up. So there's a little connection there. So John Ross, he really helped his stock. Now he might be the first wide receiver taken because of him being so fast. He also has some good traits, with catching the ball, jumping and whatnot. But we'll have to see come draft time at the end of April. That's actually in Philadelphia this year. They moved it. I don't know if they're going to be doing a different city every year now, because last year was in Chicago after it was in Radio City Music Hall up there in New York City for about 75 years. So we'll have to see if John Ross, gets moved up in the first round now. I think he's still going to be, it was still going to be a first round pick even if he didn't run the 4.22 40, but we'll have to see come draft time. Jalen Myrick, a cornerback from Minnesota, I think also helped his draft stock. He ran the second fastest 40 at the NFL Combine this year. He ran a 4.28 40-yard dash, so he also came close to Chris Johnson's 40-yard dash. He was 0.4 of a second off, but no way in hell he would have obviously broke John Ross's record. And I don't think anybody's going to break John Ross's record for a number of years, because Bo Jackson supposedly ran a 4.19 back in the 1980s, and then Chris Johnson ran a 4.24 in 2008. So you see how many number of years went by between that, and then now another 9 years from 2008 to 2017 between Chris Johnson and John Ross. So I don't think that's going to be broken anytime soon. The thing with Myrick, he did have a good vertical jump. It was 37.5 inches. But I think the thing that's going to keep him in the middle rounds of the draft would be his bench press. He only had 13 reps on the bench press, which is at 225 pounds. And the average bench reps for the bench press for a cornerback was 18. Now, only 15 guys did the bench press, but still, that's not really that good. I believe he was he was in the bottom tier of the 4-yard dash. Actually, might have been the guy dead last on the list for bench presses for a cornerback. So I think with him, one offensive player, defensive player there who really would have helped their stock and hurt their stock a little bit would be those two in John Ross and Jalen Myrick. Now, rounding out, and I think Myrick, he's still going to be a middle round pick just because of that. But teams, with that vertical jump of 37.5 inches, who knows? Rounding out the top 15, though, for the overall 40 performances for the 40-yard dash, for every position was in the 4.4 range. Now, offensive linemen, they might have ran a 5.0, or some quarterbacks, might have ran a 4.6, 4.7, 4.8. But one of the players that I want to talk about, and that ran in the 4.4 range was Joe Williams, a running back from Utah. He's actually from Allentown, Pennsylvania, and he actually retired from football this past season, but he came back after Utah had some injuries on their team. He retired due to personal issues, but I don't really know anything about that, so I don't want to get into that. But he came back, and in the first three games that he came back from, he had over 200 yards rushing in all of them, and he had over 300 yards rushing against Oregon, who Oregon you think of is a powerhouse in college football. This year they were down. They actually fired Mark Helfrich, their head coach, and now they got Willie Taggart as their new head coach. So maybe Oregon can get back on track as to what they were when Chip Kelly was there. He's still without a job. But be sure to keep your eye on Joe Williams, running back from Utah. As I would say, I think he's going to be flying off the draft boards leading from now up until the end of April, come draft time. And maybe he might be one of the top running backs taken. I know this running back class is deep this year, unlike in years past. So we'll have to see about that. But Joe Williams, be sure to keep your eye on his name, and he might be on your team come 2 months. Two of the fastest quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson and Mitch Trubisky, they both ran in the 4.6 range. 4.66 for Watson and 4.67 for Mitch Trubisky. What's up, Kerry? How you doing? And I'll move on. Two of the fastest running backs were Donnell Pumphrey from San Diego State. He's actually the all-time leading rusher in college football history now. He ran a 4.48, and then Christian McCaffrey also ran a 4.48. Watson and Trubisky, they're going to be two of the top quarterbacks taken. They might be on your team. Watson, San Francisco's really looking for a quarterback. Cleveland's looking for a quarterback again to add to their list of quarterbacks that they've had since they came back into the league in the late 90s. I don't even know what the number's at right now. I believe it's close to 30. So if one of those quarterbacks gets drafted by the Browns, I think they'd take Trubisky over Watson because Trubisky's from the Cleveland area. So you bring the hometown kid back, and maybe he can turn the franchise around, but who knows? Watson, we all saw what he did at Clemson. The thing with Trubisky, though, before I move on to Watson, he's only a one-year starter at North Carolina. He had to sit behind some guys, and then but his measurements, yeah, that's true. Trubisky's measurements add up to a franchise type of quarterback, to what NFL teams like. Same thing with Watson, but Watson, we all know what he's capable of. Hell, he played in the last two national championship games against Alabama, losing one the first year and then winning this past year 2 months ago in January. So we'll have to see. I think you take Watson over Trubisky just because of Trubisky only being a one-year starter. He might have a slump next year in his second year as a starter, and that's going from the college level to the NFL level. So we'll have to see about that as well. Now, I've said it before about Christian McCaffrey, running back out of Stanford. I don't think he's going to be good in the NFL. A lot of comparisons are to Reggie Bush. You saw what Reggie Bush did early on in his career, but no one's talked about him since then. But another person I'd compare McCaffrey to is Danny Woodhead. All three of those players. I'm going to actually have another visitor. My dog's here now too. Say hi. Say hi. Danny Woodhead. I think a lot of people would compare. Sniff my hat. Yeah, go ahead, sniff my hat. Say hi to everybody. He says hi. I compare him to Danny Woodhead as well, just because. Oh, go ahead. Way to go. Sorry. Anyways, Will you stop? Huh? Will you stop? I'm trying to do something here. Just let me start over on Christian McCaffrey. A lot of people compare him to Reggie Bush. A lot of people, I compare him to Danny Woodhead as well. But what those three people can do, Bush was a better player than Woodhead, obviously, but I think all McCaffrey's going to do in the NFL is return kicks. I don't think he's going to be good. Now, if he gets in the right system, maybe he goes to New England. New England's able to, turn players around. I'm going to try to fix this video here for you folks. So I think I don't think McCaffrey's going to be good in the NFL. I've said it before. I really don't need to say it again. So I talked about being strong with teams wanting these players to do a lot of reps on the bench press. What are you doing? Come here. Let me clean your eyes. Yeah, there. Say hi to everybody again. Say hi. Sit down. Can you sit? Sit down, please. I see you. You want to shake? Yeah. Sit down. I'm trying to do something here, okay? No, don't get in my way. Okay, that's a good boy. Lay down. Yeah, I'll rub your ears. I talked about being strong. Teams want the players to be as strong as possible. This goes back to the bench press with Jalen Meyer only doing 13 reps at the Combine. I saw this morning, too, a player from Purdue that was not invited to the Combine. He did more reps than anybody at the Combine, which was more than 35 because most of the Combine was 35 reps at 225 pounds by Isaac Osiata, who also played at Utah. He was an offensive lineman, though, so I don't think he's going to be anything special. Maybe if he gets in the right system, I think he's going to be a middle round pick. So I don't really know anything on him, though. Myles Garrett, he could be the number one pick to the Browns. They get a pass rusher to go up against their tackle that they've had for a number of years in Joe Thomas. And then you get a quarterback. They already have a quarterback. They have Robert Griffin III. We all saw what he did in Washington with the Redskins. He sort of died down, but if he can get back on track, I think the Browns will have their answer at quarterback there, and they don't even have to take a quarterback. So they might take Myles Garrett. He had 33 reps on the bench press at 225 pounds. And then Samaje Perine, running back out of Oklahoma, who I think whoever takes him is going to be getting a franchise running back in him, a lot like Adrian Peterson, who also went to Oklahoma. So little different, little comparison between those two. Perine, he was the strongest running back of the Combine. He had 30 reps on the bench. Most of all running backs this year, as I said. So maybe if the Vikings can't re-sign Peterson with free agency starting, and more than likely they won't, Peterson, a lot of people are saying he's going to go to New England. I don't think he's going to go to New England. He's either going to go to Oakland or Seattle. I said Oakland like 2 weeks ago because supposedly they're not going to be re-signing Latavius Murray. But we'll have to see about that. So maybe, as I said, if the Vikings can't re-sign Peterson, maybe they take another Oklahoma running back and Samaje Perine. I think he'll be the first running back taken in the draft come April, come the end of April. He's a monster. I actually have a little connection between a little mutual friend between me and Samaje Perine, and that's Christian Lezer. He played with him at an all-star game in high school down in Dallas, Texas. Christian, he is currently playing at University of Central Florida. Perine, as he came out after his junior year here. So Christian, he'll have a couple more years here down at Central Florida, and we wish him the best of luck as well. But if whatever team takes Perine, you're getting a franchise running back. I think he's going to be a 3-down back. And then let's see. Let me see if I can fix this again. Fix that. Is that good? Yeah, that's good. And then, as I said, with free agency starting, not knowing where players are going to sign, I really don't want really don't want to get into it a whole lot just because I don't know where these players are going to sign. And we'll have more on that next week. Corey should be back. But let's say you need a running back. And this goes back to Pirine. Say you need a running back. And say you sign somebody for agency. Well, now you don't need a running back. Come draft time, you don't draft Pirine. But I mean, that's all I have for the Combine. I was going to see if Corey had any more on it. I don't know if he watched it or not. So next week we'll have some NFL free agency. I can't remember what else, but stay tuned for that. That's all I got for today. We also have WWE Fastlane predictions coming up. I'll be doing a different video for that. So stay tuned for that coming up here shortly. Be sure to like us on Facebook, look Across the Goal Line on Facebook, follow at ATGL16 on Twitter, also on Instagram. Subscribe on YouTube. Email us any questions or concerns at acrossthegoalline2016 at gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter at ColeLineLuke96. You can follow Corey on Twitter at CMAins14. You can buy our merchandise, one of these hats. You can also buy our shirts. What else? Question of the day today was Lehigh Bucknell tonight on CBS Sports Network at 7:30. Question of the week: who do you think are going to be the 4 number 1 seeds come the NCAA tournament? Actually, this Sunday. This Sunday is Selection Sunday. We'll be talking about that next week as well. And I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, I can't even remember. I normally have that stuff written down. I'm not in front of it right now, so that's the reason why. But that's this week. We'll get more into maybe about the NFL Combine and the NFL I'll talk to Corey next week a little bit about the NFL Combine and the NHL Trade Deadline. I know he doesn't even watch NASCAR hardly, but that's all I got for you folks today. Hopefully everybody has a great day wherever you're at. And then stay tuned here real quick. I'll be right back for what happened at WWE Fastlane.